I don't recall where I seen it or heard it, but I remember catching some piece of content. Maybe somebody told me something. Maybe I heard it on XM, but about cargo coming off the ships, and it's been on the ship for so long that it got moldy. So they had to start throwing the stock out. And it makes you wonder at how much of the stuff that's actually on these ships, over 500,000 containers, how much of that stuff's going to have to get tossed. Um, we're not going to, I don't think you have like 7-day perishable food items coming from Asia, for example. Um, Maybe there's some long term stuff. Like I heard there's a Nutella shortage. Like, now the pitchforks are going to come out. You run out of Nutella, there's going to be fights in the street. But how much of this stuff's going to get tossed, only making the supply chain issues even worse? And then what effect does that have on the insurance companies? Because I'm sure they're going to file claims on all that cargo. And, it might not be as big as AIG taking a hit in 2008, but I got to imagine that the stuff's going to stack up at some point. But you realize we have worker issues, transportation issues, potentially raw material issues all around the globe. They're looking at, there was somebody, I just did an episode, I forgot the name, Flexport or something. A guy, maybe the president, rented a boat. They went all around port looking to see how many ships are out there and what was going on, trying to get the full story in. Some of his recommendations were stretching out for like 6 months. And it's like, man, we're not going to get out of this for 6 months or more. And you start thinking about items going bad. You can't ship food with mold on it, for example. If you have shoes, clothes of mold, going to get scrapped. What other items are going to get tossed just because they're going dead in the supply chain because they can't get unloaded and get shipped across the country. Not we all, I'm sure some of you have had issues at the stores. There are certain weeks I can get something and then it won't be in stock for a month. It's like kind of like rolling blackouts of certain food items. I don't think it's like we're gonna tear apart Kroger just yet. Like no one seems to be starving in that sense, but you can see cracks in the system that should be concerning. And I'm not about all this doom and gloom. People have been all doom and gloom, and that's how they make a living, just pimping doom and gloom all day. I'm trying to be a realist. I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I'm not trying to be an optimist. I find that life is less disappointing when you're a realist. Like, you just try to see things for what they are. And right now, it's like the world's not ending, but there's things happening that are concerning. So it's one issue when you just got to get the stuff off the cargo ship. It's a completely different issue when the inventory on the cargo ship's bad. So now we can't replenish shelves because that stock's just bad. It's not delayed any longer. It's just not even available. So I'm worried about broader issues, the semiconductor shortage, which can hurt anything from appliances to automobiles to defense. No one seems to be talking about that. Semiconductor is kind of a big issue if we gotta worry about some defense stuff. As I talk about often on my channel, because I'm a car nut, I ordered a new Ford F-250. I should have already had my build date. I have nothing from Ford at this point. I ordered that back in September. It's now November, and I don't even have a build date. Who knows if and when that thing's ever going to arrive. You see these things breaking down in the system. And again, not enough to say the world's ending. I'm just a little concerned. We don't have enough truck drivers. You see airlines canceling, thousands of flights. Global transportation issues, ports backed up. Manufacturing output could drop even more if we continue to have more worker shortages. The good thing for the U.S. is we do create and grow a lot of food, so I don't know if we're going to completely starve. It seems like we got a lot of cows and dairy in this country, but and a lot of crops, obviously. So we might not get some of that stuff that gets imported, but I don't know if we're gonna I don't know if we're going to completely starve, if you know what I mean. What I'm also concerned about, what if something else bad happens? Like, you're already stretching the supply chain, and from semiconductors to food to other. I don't know if you tried buying electronics. There's a few electronics I'm looking at, even for my studio, and a lot of stuff's just been sold out for quite a while. And going back to semiconductors, electronics, um, there's a lot of electronics you just can't get right now, and they don't even know when they're going to get them back in stock. But it's like, what if something else bad happens? A natural disaster, a conflict with another country, another virus, or this pandemic picks back up. Like, if we're already stressing the supply chain to the max, they teach you this stuff in like Six Sigma when you're in even manufacturing, production, and operations. When you're trying to manage demand, once you get to 100% or even near 100%, you're screwed. And I feel like if the supply chain's at 100%, now we can't have anything go wrong or the whole thing crumbles. These are some of the things I just don't see people talking about. I see the news kind of cherry picking items here and there, but I feel like a lot of the news channels are just kind of like raking stuff under or sweeping stuff under the rug because that doesn't go with the narrative. But there are things that should be concerning you right now. If you're a business owner, if you just care, there's a lot of crazy stuff, and I hope we get out of it. But from inflation to worker shortages, supply shortages, so many things. But you start thinking of things you never thought about. Items coming off the ships and they're moldy. Who thought about that? You didn't think about it till it happened. So what other things are out there that have happened or are about to happen that we haven't even thought of yet? Other repercussions. So things to think about. If you ran into a shortage, food, clothing, electronics, or something, drop a comment below with what it is. I'd be curious to hear. But until then, I'm going to catch you on the next one.